Hey everyone, and thanks for checking out this movie review as part of my 31 Horror Movies in October series. So, October has finally arrived. It's October 1st, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at the first movie that I've chosen as part of my 31 Horror Movies in October 2021. And that movie is the original Dawn of the Dead from 1978, George Romero. So, I figured this is a great way to kick off the month of Halloween with a good zombie movie, classic. I haven't seen the 2004 remake of this, but I've heard that it's good, so I'm definitely gonna have to check that out. But this is definitely a classic from 1978. So let's just go ahead and get into it. So, Dawn of the Dead, a 1978 zombie horror film written, directed, and edited by George A. Romero and produced by Richard Rubinstein. It's the second film in the Romero series of zombie films. Obviously, Night of the Living Dead came out 10 years prior to this in 1968. And I actually watched and reviewed that movie as part of the series I did in May, a similar series of 31 horror movies in 31 days. So this is the second. Um, it doesn't contain any settings from the preceding Night of the Living Dead. It shows a larger scale effects of zombies in this movie apocalypse on society. In the film, a phenomenon of undefined origin has caused the reanimation of the dead who prey on human flesh. So, yeah, basically, the film opens. The United States is devastated by a mysterious phenomenon that reanimates recently dead human beings as flesh eating zombies. You gotta love that. 3 weeks into the crisis, it's been reported that millions of people have died and reanimated. Despite the government's best efforts, social order is collapsing. Rural communities and the National Guard have been effective in fighting the zombie hordes in open country, but urban centers descend into chaos. At WJON TV, a television studio in Philadelphia, traffic reporter Stephen Andrews and his pregnant girlfriend, producer Fran Parker, are planning to steal the station's helicopter to escape the city. Across town, police SWAT officer Roger DeMarco and his team raid a low income housing project whose mostly black and Latino tenants are defying the martial law of delivering their dead to the National Guard. The tenants and the officers exchange gunfire as the officers try to gain entry. Roger unsuccessfully tries to restrain Woolley, a, a brutal and racist trooper, after he maniacally kills several unarmed civilians. Woolley is shot dead by an officer from another unit, Peter Washington. As the SWAT team dispatch the reanimated dead that have injured or killed several tenants, Roger forms an alliance with Peter, suggesting they desert and join up with Stephen, who is his friend. An elderly priest tells them that several zombies are confined in the basement. The two go there and take on a grim job of eliminating all of them. So yeah, and that's just the beginning of the film. So cast wise, it's a pretty small cast. There's only four main characters. David Emge or David David Eames is Stephen Flyboy Andrews. Ken Foray, of course, is Peter Washington. Scott Reiner is Roger Trooper DeMarco, and Galen Ross is Francine Fran Flygirl Park. So yeah, this is believe it or not, this came out the year I was born, 78, but this was the first time that I'd watched it in 2021. So I was a little bit behind the times, but I've heard a lot about this movie, so I knew a little bit about it. But first time watching it, and wow, it's really a trip. Um, let's just get into the pros and cons as I see them for Dawn of the Dead from 1978. As it mentioned in like the introduction or the premise of the movie, compared to Night of the Living Dead, which was on a much smaller scale, I think it just took place in like a small town. In fact, it wasn't even a town; it was just like a house out in the woods kind of thing. This is much broader and grander and more global in scale. And you kind of feel that when you're watching the movie. It kind of leaves you feeling like there's no escape. It isn't just some rural area out in the middle of nowhere where, a few people are being affected by it. This is like everybody's our cities, countries, the whole world basically. And so yeah, it's definitely feels much different, much grander, and definitely leaves you with a claustrophobic feeling of no escape no matter where you go. The main four characters in this movie are really compelling and they're well written. We really come to know and care about them by the time we get to the end of the film before the real chaos begins. Um, or I should say the return of chaos, because there's quite a bit at the beginning too. But you know, when things happen to them, we kind of feel for them. We feel it, and they do their best to survive. And yeah, I'm gonna try to make these reviews as non-spoiler as I can, just because I know this movie's been out for over 40 years. But I'm gonna do my best. I no guarantees. There might be spoilers, so I guess you've been warned. But I'm not gonna tell you if all of them survive or not. But things happen to them obviously throughout the course of the movie, and because they're so well written and developed, we really come to care about that and feel like we know these characters. There's really great practical special effects that look and feel real in this movie. It really helps ratchet up the kills and the gore in this movie, which is there is a lot of. I enjoyed the whole abandoned mall setting that the majority of the film takes place. I mean, you got the first 20 minutes is kind of at the radio station and down in Philadelphia area, and then you've got the rest of the movie's all it all takes place at this abandoned mall somewhere out in the middle of the kind of the middle of the country, I think. I'm assuming it's still Pennsylvania, but yeah, I really enjoyed that setting, with the empty mall, but you still have all like the stuff in the stores and stuff, but it really creates an isolating feeling. And it's also creative character wise in terms of what they can do and the things that they enjoy or try to do based with what they have to work with. It's just really interesting and just a really good setting. It's definitely got effective social commentary by Romero, who, I mean, if you've seen Romero's zombie films and probably his other films too, but with these films, Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead, and I'm assuming Day of the Dead, which I have yet to watch yet, they all have some social commentary involved. And obviously, this one is based on consumerism and people valuing money and possessions over important things like other people and human life. That's basically the commentary of this movie, and he really does it effectively. I didn't think it was like slapped in your face or pushed in your face, but it's definitely there. I mean, you don't have to think too deeply about it to realize it. It's a really effective opening, and this movie just really takes you in right away. And yeah, I mean, you're in both feet. There's no halfway here. But yeah, really effective opening that really sets up the world that these characters have come to exist in. Very action packed and intense. Um, obviously a great final act as well, with when the bikers and the looters start breaking into the mall and all hell breaks loose with them and letting the zombies in. And it has a very satisfying ending, even though it doesn't necessarily have a closure ending. It's a very satisfying ending for this type of movie, I feel like, because the characters really have to struggle with themselves and with each other. And then, like I said, at the end, when these bikers come and basically allow the zombies to come in by trying to loot the mall, it's really everybody for themselves, and it's really fun to watch. And so yeah, a lot of positives with this movie. It's a classic for a reason. There are some cons that I do have for this movie. I did feel like the middle of the movie with the four characters in the mall. I thought they could have trimmed the fat a little bit on some of that. It is a very long movie. Now I have the collector's edition, so I don't know if there's a big difference between the regular. I think there is. I think there's 10 or 15 minutes difference. This is 128 minutes, so it's an over a like 2 hours and 8 minute movie here. But again, that's the collector's edition. I believe the theatrical one or the other one it's still well over 100 minutes, but I think it's well short of 120 or like 112, maybe something like that. So there's probably about 15 minutes difference. So I got to take that into account. But it did feel kind of long in the middle. I mean, I didn't mind watching them like move around the mall and go into the certain stores and then set up barricades and stuff. But after a while, it just kind of got like let's get it moving here a little bit. And because there's quite a bit in the middle of the movie where not a lot happens. When they blockade the zombies, you have like 20 minutes there where they're just kind of amongst themselves, and that's okay. But I just felt like they could have trimmed a little bit of the fat off, and just shortened it up a little bit, even for the director's collector's edition cut. Um, Actually, no, this is a collector's edition, not the direct. I don't. Oh, it is the original director's cut. It does say that on here. So yeah, I'm sure it's. I'm sure if I watch the theatrical version, I won't probably feel that way. But that was just something that stood out for me that I thought it could have moved along a little quicker, kind of slow moving in the middle. kind of making for a less tight movie overall. But again, it's not enough to take away, and I realize that this is the director's cut. One thing that I'll say, the look and the makeup of the zombies, I don't think is overly great with the blue face makeup that they use on all of them. There's not a lot of distinction there. Um, there's one character that turns into a zombie towards the end of the movie. That's pretty effective. A part in an elevator. Um, but overall, like the numerous amounts of zombies throughout the movie are basically, it's kind of like the what's the group in Las Vegas? Oh, Blue Man Group a little bit, although it's not quite that blue, but it's got like a light blue face paint. The zombies aren't really threatening unless you get a bunch of them in closed spaces as well. I just didn't feel like because there were characters that were like running by him and pushing him down and stuff, and not really. I don't know. It was just kind of weird. So that was one thing that stuck out to me. And then the only other con I have is sometimes the acting doesn't always work. It does for the most part, but there are moments that the acting of certain characters kind of misses the mark. I felt like during certain parts of this movie, but again, those are some nitpick cons, and I'm sure, like I said, the first one with the length of it, that's probably more related to the collector's edition director's cut that I have. But overall, guys, this is obviously a fantastic movie, a classic. You can't go wrong with this. All three Romero films are great. Like I said, I haven't seen Day of the Dead, but I've heard enough about it. Um, I really enjoyed Night of the Living Dead, and I really enjoyed this one. So, if I was going to give it if I was going to give it a rating, I would say this got to be 9 out of 10. I won't give it a 10 out of 10 because of those cons that I found, but definitely a 9 out of 10. And that's coming from somebody who's not the biggest zombie horror fan in the world. I mean, it's probably not even in my top five in terms of horror subgenre. But if it's done well, I can watch it and enjoy it well enough. So 9 out of 10 for Dawn of the Dead from 1978. Like I said, I'll have to check out the remake from 2004 as well. But go ahead and comment down below, like this video. Let me know what you think though down below in the comments about this movie. Have you seen it? What you like about it, what you don't like about it, if anything. And please subscribe to my channel to see the rest of the month of October and my 30 remaining October horror films. So yeah, thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you tomorrow for another film to view and review. Thanks for watching. Stay scared. Bye.